Alright, so for this video we are going to take a look at coding. So basically, where can you find code and what can you do with it? So it's going to be a very basic introduction. We're not actually going to write any real code. I'm just going to show you where you can find it and how it works on your computer. So code is basically just hidden inside of a text file. I've created a text file here, called it some code. Doesn't actually matter what you call it. And I'm just going to double click. So that was what you expected would happen. It opened up Notepad and I could just start typing. So I could say do something else. And this is what coding is. You're just going to start going along and you're just going to write a series of instructions. Now this is just kind of out there. It's just a text file with some instructions. Basically, how are you going to turn that into a computer program? So for this, you're going to need an environment. So whatever language you're typing in here, it's always going to need something to read it and execute it. So the most basic of environments is the dreaded console command line, which we have over here. All right, so all this is some text, right? It's you can type in here. I could say hello, I could hit enter, and it'll give me something back. If I hit enter there, it's not happy because I just randomly typed hello in the console line. But you can link that up. So you could actually open up this file over here. And if this is written in a computer language that it understands, you can actually start to give it instructions. So if I was to say, if the user types hello, say hello back. I don't know, something simple like that. So if I had actually opened up this file, I typed in hello here, it would say hello back to me. So you can really start to build up on this, right? Even though this is just a simple command, we could almost build up a full AI. We could have different responses for different things. We could even have it, maybe answer questions or, I don't know, anything you want. Basically, you type it here, it interprets it here, and it spits it back out into the command line. So that's a very, very basic example. There's just text here, right? It's just words. You can't do pictures or videos or anything like that. So if we want to add a little more, let's say we want to build a web page, we're going to need a different environment. So we still need our text file. We still need our commands written in a programming language, but we're going to want a web browser. So on the left here, I've got a web browser with a basic page opened. So this is actually cool. This is a blank page. So I've just opened it with nothing on it. So there's no pictures or video or text. It is completely blank. So you can almost use your imagination and just see that on the right, you've got a paper that you can type commands. And on the left, you've got a piece of paper where those things are going to appear. So let's say I wanted to just write hello. I could write hello here, and that would appear here. If I wanted to make a button, I could say put a button in the top left corner, and a button is going to appear over here. Yeah, so there's pretty much anything you can do that you can think of. Let's actually get rid of Notepad though. You are probably not going to want to write code in Notepad. Let's get something a little fancier. We're going to use Visual Studio Code. So this is kind of the most popular text editor for coding. Any language that you use, you're probably going to use VS Code. It's the same thing though, right? I can just do something in here. I can just type whatever I want right here. And these little things on the left are just text files. So if I have my some code file here, it's just opening that up here and I can write what I want inside. So a little fancier text editor. It's going to actually understand the coding language you're using. And if you type something wrong, it's going to underline it for you. So just a little bit nicer. It's going to help you a lot while you're coding. So I've actually got a HTML document. Now HTML isn't really a programming language. It's more just a organization language. So it's going to tell you where to put stuff and that kind of thing. So let's say I put in a button, or actually I'll write the word hello first. I think that's what I just did. So if I click save, the word hello is going to pop up. And let's say I put that button in. I'm not going to tell it where to put the button. I'm just going to say button. And I can give the button a name. So let's say my button. And a button appears called my button. So that is the kind of thing you can do. You just type something here and it's going to appear over here. Now this is an HTML, so again, not really a coding language, more of just a, it's called a markup language, so just a way to put stuff on the screen. What coding is going to do, so let's go over here. This is a JavaScript file. You can see the .js, so whereas this one over here is .txt for .text, this one here is .js for JavaScript, so it just understands it as JavaScript. So when I actually click this button here, I can link it up to this JavaScript file, and I can type anything that I want to happen when I click the button. So let's say when the user clicks this button, I could type in here, when they click the button, I want the message hello to appear underneath. Now that'd take a minute, so I'm not actually going to do it out here, but you can just imagine that whatever you type here will happen when you interact here. So you're just bouncing back and forth, and it's kind of neat that you can think of anything like that. Yeah, so that is the web browser. So pretty basic, kind of videos and text files and all that stuff. But you can go a step further. There's other environments as well. So let's say you wanted to build a video game engine. It's kind of hard to build a video game here. You'd have to do a lot of typing. So there's an environment for that. These are called game engines. So this is the Unity engine. It's just one of them. So how this works, you're still going to want your text editor. That's whenever you're writing code, you're going to write it inside here. But let's just minimize that for a second. So this is a game engine. So there's this little scene here where you can actually add 3D objects. So let's say I want to add a capsule. It's going to add a capsule. If I want to add in a cube, it's a cube. I can duplicate stuff. I can rotate it. And you can actually move around too. So it's almost like a video game inside of a video game. So you can create a scene here. You can add 3D models like trees and terrain and whatever you want. And coding is actually it's almost like magic inside of a game engine. So you could put a script on there and tell this object what to do. So in this box here, the bottom box here, I've got a text file called some code. So this one's written in C#. So again, it's just a different coding language. And actually, if you look on the right-hand side here, that's what it looks like inside the text file. So you wouldn't actually write code here, but it's going to show you the code. So you would write this file inside of here, and then you're able to hit play, and it's going to use that code. So let's say I was to drag this, I was to drop it on cube. So I click the cube here. Let's go over here, zoom in on them. So even though you can't actually see the code, over here, some code on the right-hand side is now kind of like tacked on. So it's almost like writing magic words onto a scroll and then sticking the scroll onto this cube. So whatever I write on that piece of paper is now going to happen in this world. So if I was to write, I don't know, fall down to the ground, when I click play, this cube is going to fall down to the ground. I could tell the cube to start spinning around. I could tell it to maybe go over there, and really whatever you want. You could change color, you could have it get bigger or smaller. Sky's the limit, whatever you can think of. So that's how code is done in video games. So you drag these 3D models into a scene, and then the code is basically, you're just telling the things what to do. Pretty simple there. Obviously there's a lot to learn. You gotta figure out this game engine, you gotta learn a programming language, but that's really all you're doing. You're just telling stuff what to do inside of this little box here. And that's it. So whatever language you pick up, you're gonna grab a text editor, you're just gonna write some code in here, and then you're just looking for one of those environments. So just something that's gonna be able to read this file. It's gonna say, hey, I'm opening up this file here, I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna do whatever it says inside. And those are usually gonna have, you know, boxes and just ways to input text or show videos and that kind of stuff, like we had over here. You can see just stuff you can drag and drop. Different ones are going to work differently, but that's the general concept. So that's kind of coding in a nutshell. Lots of different stuff you can do. The first step is usually just to figure out what you want to do. So do you want to build video games? Do you want to make a website? And once you figured that out, then usually you're going to pick a coding language. Certain coding languages are better for different applications. So once you've got that, then you just learn the coding language and you get to it.